President Volodymyr Zelenskyy held a meeting in Lviv on March 4th with President of the European Parliament Roberta Metsola, who is visiting Ukraine for the second time after Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. In the traditional evening address, the head of state thanked Metsola for her leadership in support and stressed that 2023 should be the year of the start of negotiations on Ukraine's accession to the EU.
Obviously, this year our cooperation with European institutions will be even more significant than last year. The task is to actively prepare everything for our country's accession to the EU, to increase the supply of weapons to Ukraine, to strengthen sanctions against Russia, and I thank Roberta Metsola and all our friends in Europe who are helping Ukraine along the path of integration.
Ukraine applied for EU membership on March 1st, 2022. 2 days later, the European Parliament adopted a resolution on support and the need to grant Ukraine candidate status. A year later, they assure in Brussels that they are ready to help Ukraine move faster towards accession.
When we say that Ukraine is Europe and Europe is Ukraine, it means that accession negotiations should begin as soon as possible. I'm hopeful that accession negotiations can begin already this year. Roberta Metsola, President of the European Parliament, during a briefing in Lviv.
Roberta Metsola also added that she was amazed at the progress that Ukraine has made on the recommendations of the European Commission. These are 7 conditions for a candidate country. Among them, the implementation of reforms in the judicial system and fundamental reforms that are key to opening negotiations, expert Veronika Movchan says.
I really hope that Ukraine will be able to start negotiations in 2023. Ukraine is really doing a lot in order to implement the 7 recommendations. I cannot say that Ukraine has completed their implementation, far from it, but at the same time there is significant progress, and I hope that after the assessment, what has already been done by the European Union that we expect in the spring, this will be a preliminary assessment.
If the European Commission positively assesses the progress of reforms in Ukraine, there is a chance that the European Council will decide to start negotiations with Ukraine in the autumn of 2023, Movchan says. The government of Ukraine hopes that the negotiation process will be fast, and in 2 years Ukraine will be able to become a member of the EU. According to Veronika Movchan, the process may take longer.
This is realistic, this is just normal. For 2 years, what sometimes sounds is unreal. More than 10 years, well, how difficult it is to keep everyone in good shape. So now 7 years before the end of the decade is enough. Well, as it were, the basic scenario according to which I hope both we and the European Union will follow.
Employees of the Center for European Policy Studies Michael Emerson and Stephen Blockmans believe that against the backdrop of considering Ukraine's candidacy for EU membership, the European Union itself needs to change its approach to the enlargement mechanism as soon as possible.
Ukraine should win the war against Russia, but if the EU does not reform its enlargement methodology, together with Ukraine, they may lose the peace. The stakes are that high. Michael Emerson, Stephen Blockmans, from the report of the Center for European Policy Studies.
Reported by Serhiy Kulas, Natalia Belokudria, UATV News.